Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm doing a review and teardown of the CB-108 pedal board, powered pedal board from Caline Technologies. A quick unboxing here. You get this really nice carry case, and it's got a little side zipper here, which I will go ahead and open up. It does come with a couple different things. It actually comes with the power supply, comes with a shoulder strap. That's really nice. A bunch of wires for the power supply. And it looks like there's even more wires still. And when you open it up, you actually get some of the Velcro, some of the soft stuff, and then the prickly stuff, I'm going to call it. But here is the pedal board here, which is very nicely secured inside the case here. I'll go ahead and take this out. Oh, next, there we go. So the cool thing with this is that it actually rolls up like so, and it's got these feet that allow it to be off on an angle like this. And let's go over some of the features. There's a lot going on here, but I am very encouraged on what I see, and I did request the schematic for this particular model. Yes, this is an isolated power supply. There are isolation transformers inside for each one of these power bricks. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right, now this pedal board is very subcompact. The dimensions that we are showing here are just under 20.5 inches. And if we were to measure, this looks like a single row. It's roughly about 5, maybe about 5.25 inches worth of space that you can put on this pedal board. And that's more than plenty for a lot of people if they're just trying to go minimalistic, just the necessary essential effects pedals that they need. And you got more than ample power capabilities here in the power supply that's built into the feet. I'll quickly go over some of the features of the power supply that's built in here. We have our 18 volts coming in here. We got an on and off switch that globally sets the power on and off for all these outputs here. We start off here with a 5 volt output USB Type-C, which is nice to have because some pedals these days actually don't use a standard barrel tip adapter anymore. They're using USB, so that's nice to have. You can also charge your phone off of it. I believe that is a USB 2.0 up to 2 amps of charging capability. We have a couple 9 volt ports here at 100 milliamps. We have some middle current at 300 milliamps. A high current at 500 milliamps, and then we got our specialty voltages at 12 volts and 18 volts at 300 and 100 milliamps specifically. Finally, on this section here, I was a little skeptical when I first saw it because input and output, I do see on some pedal boards, more of the inexpensive pedal boards, where it's just a simple input and output. There's just wires going from here to here, and it's just a convenient way to organize your cables, for example. This is actually a buffered, unbalanced signal chain right here, but it allows you to connect your last pedal right here over to your input, and that input is buffered. And what that will then do is the circuit inside here can inject audio from an external source, for example, with this 3.5 millimeter jack, and now your output goes out to your amplifier, for example, unbalanced, not a tip ring sleeve. It is just tip sleeve. And whatever audio is coming out of here will then appear on the output as well as your pedal signals from your guitar or bass. And that is really nice to have as a good jam along feature. If you have a backing track, for example, that you wanted to play through your guitar amplifier, for example, maybe not the best application for that, but you can do it. I think it's more of a jam along feature with having this auxiliary input, but that is what this circuit is meant for. So the cool thing with this power supply is that it folds out with these feet, but say you don't need those feet, you can roll this back to where it's nice and flat. It's got a very low profile, and it actually allows you a little bit more real estate in terms of pedal space. So instead of the 5.25 or so, now when I add that extra section of the power supply, you get about 7 inches with, height, worth of space, as well as the 20.5 or so inches that the pedal board can now fit a little bit more pedals if you don't need those feet. So that's a nice design consideration, and all of your power ports here are on the back of it, so to speak. And again, you have a lot more pedal space to deal with. So I forgot to mention that in the beginning of my video, but that's a nice thing to measure, especially when you are just trying to cram as many pedals on there as you can. All right, what I've gone ahead and done is just added a few basic pedals to this pedal board and wired it all up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the power, and we're also going to, you're going to see the blue light come on. I'm going to push the on-off switch here. All the rest of these ports will light up, and now we have power to all of the pedals. Now I have my PV Mini Mega powered up, and I currently have it on mute. I'll just turn off the effects loop since we don't have anything connected to it. And all we're doing is tuner, compressor, the wine cellar, which is my driver preamp, a nice stereo bass chorus, and then I have a little noise gate here to cut down on any noise when I'm not playing. Now I'm going to take this off of mute and listen to the white noise coming through the speaker in front of me here. Amp is on. Got some modest volume here, a little bit of gain just to get things started, and very quiet. Everything turns on. You had a little bit of white noise, but then my noise gate should take care of that. With the noise gate off, and the noise gate off. With all the other pedals off, and now mute, off, and on. So overall, this power supply is extremely quiet. The little bit of white noise is just coming from the op-amp buffer circuits that are inside these pedals. Very quiet, no ground loops whatsoever. Now, at the time of recording this video, I did discover a problem with this input and output buffer circuit that allows you to put your Bluetooth or any other audio source in through the auxiliary 3.5mm, and here is what's going on with it. The basic answer is that we have a resistor value problem with the input and output buffer as well as the auxiliary buffer that's inside this circuit. It's amplifying whatever is going into the auxiliary 3.5mm as well as amplifying whatever is going into the input, and when you get out the output is a very nasty white noise hiss. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this 1 kilo ohm adapter that I made just to basically simulate a passive guitar or bass going in there, and listen to the white noise with the amplifier muted. Not terrible. Now if I unmute the amplifier, you hear that? That is gain hiss. This is not supposed to be amplifying anything. It should be a 1-to-1, meaning that whatever input goes into this jack and then the auxiliary, it should not be amplified. It should just be passed along to the output. Instead, the resistor values inside are actually causing those op amps to add gain or more volume, essentially, is the net effect, and that is what you're hearing. In fact, this auxiliary port is so heavily gained that what happens is that you have to turn your source down so low that it almost can overpower the signals going through your pedal boards here. And that is not ideal. So right now there is a problem with it. I did bring that up to Caline. They are currently investigating it. I'm hoping that they will see the error in the circuit and correct it before this gets out to market. But in the event that you get this pedal board and you want to use it, it is still valuable. And I will show you what is the best application for that, even though the gain circuit is not working the way it should. I would say that the auxiliary as it is right now until they fix it is basically useless. I'm sorry. The issue now is that you can use this stage if you have a very weak output bass or guitar. Go into this input and then send a cable from the output to the beginning of your pedal chain. And that should give you a little bit more boost of that signal going through your pedal chain, since it was likely already weak to begin with, and then send the end of your signal chain out to your amplifier. Now that wouldn't work for any active guitar or bass because they already have electronics inside that is boosting the signal. So now you're adding boost upon boost, and that might work for some people, but I think the application and the implementation of this circuit is not good. Right now, as it stands, I would not use it, or it has very limited use, especially not for what it's advertised for. And this is just a quick audio demo of the pedals that I have in place. I have my tuner here, which also acts as a mute, which is a great feature. Got a compressor. And then we got the wine cellar. Nice stereo chorus. And then finally, you hear a little bit of white noise. Get rid of that with the noise gate. Nice and quiet. And the power supply is doing its job, isolating all those grounds. Very good job that they did with the isolated power supply there. All right, guys, I'm going to end the video here. If there's any questions or comments, please let me know. As I mentioned before, Caline is actively looking into my concerns with that input-output circuit. Honestly, it is a nice feature, but I don't know how many people would actually take advantage of it, other than it would be great as an input and output buffer if your last pedal in the chain doesn't have one, for example, which there's some pedals that don't have that type of circuitry inside. But the main feature that we're talking about here is an isolated power supply built into the pedal board, which I think these guys hit it out of the park with that. It's compact, it's small, it's got a great carrying case. In my opinion, that is definitely a good value. But like all my videos, I want to make sure that what was advertised and the features work as they should. So if you do get one of these pedal boards and the issue with this circuit exists, it's still usable, just not what it is advertised to do, but it still has some use. It should be corrected here in the next batch. Thank you guys so much for supporting and watching my channel, and thank you to Caline as well. I'll see you guys on the next project.